YouTube Live, and it's going to be recorded, so it'll be saved on the YouTube Live. Are we putting this on the website?
We'll put it on the Facebook.
We'll put it on our Facebook and our website. So welcome everybody. Thank you for being here. I appreciate it. Who's been here before to this training? A couple of you, okay? Yeah, okay. You had some really good comments before too. Thank you. We did take note of those. We're processing that information, getting it done. So, and I welcome input. Those of you that are on Facebook or not Facebook, YouTube Live, if you've got some comments, please email those to our secretary's account. Okay, and she'll watch you. You can put them on here, or you can email them to our party secretary's website, and because we need input on how to make this more user-friendly and those types of things. And I've said, this is my third time, that we will give you all this presentation once we tweak it and simplify it a little bit. You'll see what I mean by that. But I want you guys to have all of the information and the talking points, because I've been visiting with legislators. I visited today. I called the Washington County Democrat chairman, had a good conversation, and took him to lunch today. We had a really good conversation. And so there's a lot we agree on as far as this stuff. And there's stuff we don't agree on politically in positions, but as far as the neighborhood elections, right? He's in favor of that stuff. He's actually in favor of the decline to sign movement, which is intriguing. So we met at Culver's. Didn't have any ice cream this time. We got to be careful. It's not season. But we had a really good conversation. I'm just trying to build relationships and try to make it not so adversarial. So we're going to go through this presentation. If you have any questions, stop me. Let's make sure you're clear on it. But the purpose for the presentation is to give you information, background on the neighborhood elections. Okay, it's going to say caucus here because this presentation was built with that wording in there. So if I say that, I don't want anybody using a calculator on how many times I've said that tonight when I'm quoting from here, and then I get a bill for like $1,000, right? Donations to the party. So we are changing it to the neighborhood elections. And I haven't talked to a single person yet that says that they don't like that. The rebranding does a couple of things. It's more inclusive as to what it really is. It's a lot more user-friendly for people that know nothing about it. Because when they heard the word caucus, they don't know what that means, but if you say neighborhood elections, it's easier to ingrain, okay? Because that's really what it is. So we're changing that name. Now, some of you have seen this before, but most of you in the room have not. Now, I'm going to fly through these in the interest of time. In the last 15 years, Utah has consistently been ranked among the top 2 states in the U.S., according to U.S. News and World Report. From 2010 to 22, Utah held the number 2 spot, and from 2023 to 25, it was ranked number 1 overall, meaning that the state of Utah, compared to every other state, by a whole bunch of metrics, quality of lifestyle, income, economics, financial stability, all of these things, they were number 2 for a lot of years, and then the last couple of years, they were number 1 in the United States. Now, why were they number 2? What's that? It was smog in Salt Lake City, air quality. So any of us have to watch that front and go, smog, it's smog. That's why we're down here. That's why we're here. But for that many years, when they've basically been doing the ranking by U.S. News and Report, we are at the top of the heap. So no matter what you think about Washington County or Utah, we're in pretty good shape here comparatively speaking. Okay? But why is it holding that spot? Why are we at the top? Is it because it's so pretty? We're pretty good other states. California is beautiful.
Probably the most involved with the staff.
But say it louder.
Because there's more people involved here in Utah.
Okay, that has something to do with the system of operation. The system by where we nominate and elect people has one of the biggest parts to that.
Is there a way to drive a bunch of people to move here, though?
What's that?
Is there a way to drive a bunch of people to move here?
You mean the system itself?
Well, just their report. I mean, if people are going, oh, let's move to Utah.
I'm sure.
Yeah,
COVID did more than anything else, though.
Yeah.
I can tell you stories about that. So, but the point I'm trying to make is good people live here. Solid, good, solid people. One of the things we're consistently ranked number one, given the presentation when I hit the thing. So key strengths, education ranked in top 5, economy consistently ranked number 3, infrastructure number 3, fiscal stability in the top 10 ranked number 1 in 2025. Why are we consistently ranked in the top fiscally? Because we have a state constitution that mandates we balance our budget every single year. That's one of the reasons. The other one is the fiscal conservatives that are running the finances. Okay, and that has everything to do with who we elect, isn't it? Crime and safety number 7, healthcare team, flying through this. Why Utah excels, strong community involvement, leads the nation in volunteering and charitable giving. Not just charitable giving, but volunteerism. We're number 1 across the board every year. Collaborative governments and focus on family and innovation, that again goes to who we elect. Low unemployment, 2.8 in March of 24 versus 3.8 nationally. A vibrant housing market, even amid a mortgage crisis. When the mortgage crisis took place, Utah still thrived from a mortgage standpoint. 2024 median income price, $604,000. Despite high prices, the real estate market remained competitive. Okay, because the housing market right now is kind of in a slight decline, not a big one, but a slight decline nationally. But Utah's still rocking. People want to move here, you guys. There's reason behind that. Final verdict, Utah's exceptional rankings are driven by smart governance. Okay? Economic diversity, strong infrastructure, and a culture of civic engagement, making it one of the best places to live and work in the U.S. So why is that the case, though? There's a lot of reasons, but one of the top reasons is who we elect and the governance that takes place. So you have to back that up. Is how did we elect them? How do we nominate and elect those people? The neighborhood elections and convention system. Okay? That's the system we've been using, and it's provided for all this winning. Not just because we have a beautiful state, not just because we have great people here. It's how we select people, and who's governing the state has everything to do with it.
So it's everybody but Cox, because Cox is well known as blah, blah, blah.
Okay, we're not getting that. I'm with you, but we're not.
No, I'm not here to bash Cox. I'm saying the people you're talking about are House of Representatives, our State Senate, all of that.
Yeah, and even over the years, the governor, which has a lot to do too. And Cox isn't a terrible governor. I mean, I would take him over most other governors of the United States, comparatively speaking. Is he my best choice? Not really. Okay, but I know him pretty good too. Yeah, yes.
And we don't elect certification system, we nominate.
We nominate, but that's the weeding out process to get to where we elect them, right? So it's our nomination and election system of operation that we've been using for decades. I'm going to blow through this because you're going to get this. But this gives you a really good history of, I'm going to say it, the caucus system, okay? Because in 1896, Utah becomes a state and adopts the caucus convention system in 1896. Okay, then we move to 37, Utah direct primary law passes, eliminating the caucus system. So we went from a caucus system convention to a direct primary. Okay, 1937 through 46, voter participation plummets, campaign costs increase, and calls to return to caucus rise. In 1947, Senate Bill 118 introduces the system of mass meetings. And, okay, the same system. County and state conventions with an 80% threshold. With an 80%, okay? 80% threshold back there. Okay? So I'm going to stop right there for a second and drive a point home. If they have an 80% threshold, what they're saying there is we want the system is designed to have 2 people come out of the convention and 2 people go to the primary. Because it's almost impossible to get over 80% of the convention. I would almost say impossible. Okay? So the message they're sending right there is we want a system where we send 2 people out of the convention to go to primary, and if you have 2 and only 2, then one of them wins by over 50% of the vote, right? That's the point. We do not want somebody to be the victor where they only got 20 or 30% of the vote, when 70 to 80% of the voters went for somebody else. Tony, how you doing, bud? So we're using this. Can you got it going, Tony? He helped me with this. Okay, so we're going to go through. I'm going to bypass some of this. 1969 House Bill 170 changed it to 70%. The threshold to win out, be the only nominee coming out of convention, went to 70%. The term mass meeting was eliminated in '88 in the favor of party caucus. Okay, so I'm flying through it. You will get this, so we're going to get this out to you. 2000, let's see, 94. I'm not going to go through some of these other things. This is primary election day. Then in 1996, the Democrats changed it to 60%. So the lower you go with that threshold, the more likely you're going to have one person win in the convention. Okay, and I think that the lowering of that sent a message. Then in 1999, the Republicans changed it to 60%. Okay, but that's when you started having Mike Lee beat Bob Bennett. Mike Lee told me to my face in the party headquarters in Salt Lake City when I was the vice chair of the state. He said, Willie, I would have never run for office against Bob Bennett if it hadn't been for this system. Because I didn't have the money, the name recognition to beat him in a primary, but I knew if I went out working in the precincts and I could get this in the convention, I could beat him out to get it. And that event right there sent a message, a shockwave through the wealthy world, saying our money isn't making the difference anymore. Because money makes a difference where? Primaries. Primaries is where money makes the difference. In the caucus meetings, the neighborhood caucus meetings, and in the conventions, money's not playing the part there. It's the delegates. And unless you spend a whole bunch of money and buy off all the delegates, see what I'm saying? So that's why Mike Lee, and then so after this change, Jason Chaffetz almost won at a convention against Chris Cannon, who'd been there for 6 terms. So the long-term senator almost got beat right there, and that's in the message to the elites. Then Tim Bridgewater, Mike Lee beat Bob Bennett at the convention, and that was the straw that broke the camel's back for the elite, high net worth people. Our candidates, Bob Bennett, with tens of millions of dollars in campaign funds, just got beat out and doesn't even get to go to the primary. That's when SB 54 law came through, and I was the vice chair of the state party when that happened. That's when all that started to take place. I get pumped about this, you guys, because I've been in this long enough to see it. I was actually there.
It's great to see the timeline.
What's that?
It's great to see the timeline.
Okay, former high-ranking elected officials threatened the Utah GOP with a ballot initiative to circumvent the caucus process. They're saying we're going to get rid of the caucus and go to a pure primary system. And we're going to do a ballot initiative and get everybody to sign things to get rid of this whole system.
Which is what Neil was talking about at the CCC.
Yes. Okay, in 13, notice this is a group called, in 2013, Count My Vote, attempts to push the nominee threshold up to create more primaries. Utah GOP governing body votes down the Count My Vote proposal, launches its own ballot initiative, and they came out and anyway, there's some timelines there, but they lost in a judgment by Judge Newford. Count My Vote starts a ballot initiative, and then Keep My Voice, which was a group trying to beat Count My Vote, beat them out, so they couldn't do the ballot initiative. The caucus system works because of this. Okay, strong local representative. Nobody is closer to the candidates than the delegates. Okay, local caucuses convene every 2 years, allowing neighbors to elect county and state delegates. Now, as I tell you this, look at having this information on your computer where you can look at it and know more about this. And then all of a sudden somebody comes to you and says, why aren't we using this system? And you've got it right there. Get it on your phone where you can tap the thing. Here it is right here. And then you can text it to them. Okay? Each state delegate represents about, this is really crucial, each state delegate represents about 160 of the 636,000 active Republican voters. In comparison, each Utah House member represents 46,000. So where are we better represented? Closer to people, with the delegates. Okay? All Utah regions have a voice, including rural and minority communities, often neglected and marginalized by direct primaries. Is that true? do primaries, neglect rural areas. Utah itself is known as a rural. You ever heard the term flyover state? It means they don't care about it. They just fly over and go to California and do that. Yes, sir.
Is Washington County 70%, the rest of the state 60%? Is that my understanding?
Washington County changed theirs to 70% in their county convention, but the state is 60%.
It's 60. Doesn't 60 seem more logical than this 80 and 70%?
Depends on what you're looking for. See, a lot of people think that this system, this neighborhood election system, I keep trying to do this ingrained in me, was designed to have one person come out. And it was not. When it was put in, it was not designed for that. It was designed for two people to come out, and the lower you take that threshold, the more likely it has to have one person beat everybody else.
But wouldn't that keep it from going to the primary where all the money's at?
It would, but when you go to the primary, it sends two people, and somebody's got to get 50%, and you got to understand, the primary is where the public votes.
Yeah.
So we do our job to take the 3 or 4 or 5 candidates, weed them down to 2, and then those 2 go to a primary where the public actually gets to vote now. If you don't give them a vote, the public starts feeling like, well, when do we get to vote on them?
But it still gives that opportunity for the big money to choose one of those candidates and get all the advertising.
It does.
The people themselves, like, to me, like the neighborhood election, it brings it to the people where we can, like, the community should decide for this one person.
But
It's more closer to the.
it seems, I agree with you, actually. It seems a lot more attractive. But when if we had one person coming out, there's no need in a primary ever, right? And we say, okay, that's good. Is it? Because we're eliminating the public's vote.
Because at that point, you're telling every voter who they have to vote for.
Yeah, at the same time, the voters, like,
You don't have a primary.
they got the
And
opportunity
the
to vote.
voters will start to resent the party for that, and that's what's happening now.
Well, the voters should come to the meetings, though, with the vetting of the candidates.
Well, and there's a whole, you guys, this is really good conversation because the reality is, if that was the situation, it may motivate the voters more to come out to the caucus.
You know, that's what it is. That's
Yeah.
the idea.
So,
of things, to get them
But I'm just telling you what the intent was to begin with, okay? And so because Mike Lee won, everybody went, wow, we can win this thing that way, and they wanted it to be that way always. But that was not the intent of this system, okay? But there is a threshold that we saw that makes it so it can happen, okay? So, let me go past this here. I'm gonna go on a couple. Increased accountability, I wanted to get to this one. This is a real good schematic that if you study this just a little bit, you can have this one slide and explain to people our system, okay? Because you have, everything starts here at the house. People go to their neighborhood meetings, okay? And they elect delegates. Those delegates then go visit with all the candidates. They have the vetting process, which they okay. Now, where's the breakdown? Number 1, we don't have enough people showing up to vote. Number 2, we have people becoming the delegate with one candidate in mind already. Not everywhere, but it happens, you guys. It does happen. So the less people that show up for this makes it easier for a person to show up here and get elected. The more people show up this, the harder it is for a person to show up and just get elected because they've already picked a candidate. So more people here helps that process. So they go through the vetting process. These people then go to the county and state conventions, and then we get 2 people out of that, or sometimes 1, and then we go to the primary election, then the general election, and they become an elected representative. But if you look at SB 54, the signature tab, it literally bypasses all of that. This whole system is gone, and they go directly here. And by gathering signatures, what you're saying is, I don't want to go through this process, or I will go through this process. But it doesn't matter what happens in that process, because I'm going to negate everybody's vote and go this way too. So it doesn't matter what happens here. Yes, sir.
Are you quoting Governor Cox at the last convention?
What do you say?
Just what you said.
Identify pass.
Huh?
He said identify pass.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
He
So
said it
that's
don't
it.
matter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And quite frankly,
Be careful on what you say.
we have, yes. Quite frankly, we have a lot of elected officials in our state legislature that got elected under this system. And now that they're elected and been there a while, they don't want to have to go back and through the vetting process.
Right.
They would rather just pay money to gather signatures and bypass the entire thing and go to here. Now, the fact that this thing exists now the last 10 years has been chipping away at this, and it gets worse and worse and worse. Okay? So the only way that we fix that is we have to get rid of this, but the signature gathering path will not go away legislatively. Okay? Because the threat by SB 50, the threat by count my vote is still there, still well funded. So the legislature said they will not do it. So the only way to do it is to do it through the people. And the only way to do it through the people is get the public at large educated, and familiar enough with how bad it is to sign that. Okay, now I've got 3 phrases here, and then again I get to that we're kind of wordsmithing a little better to make it easier for you to understand. Okay, but I'm going to give you the gist of it. I'm going to bypass. This is a comparison between California and all the problems there and Utah. Okay, but I'm going to here's the 3 things that we are going to wordsmith this day. But let me just put it this way. I've tried this. I've test driven this several dozen times now. Where I'm talking to somebody, Tony, about this thing,
Yeah.
and I just say, and I always hold my hand out and I say this first one. I said, would you sign that if you're authorizing the candidate to bypass all vetting resources, never having to answer questions of the public? Are you okay with the candidate bypassing all of that and going to the ballot? Well, no, I wouldn't do that. Okay. By signing that, you're authorizing out-of-state super PAC money to dominate our elections.
What does PAC mean?
Political Action Committee. Political Action Committee. Basically a way to build an organization where millions and millions of dollars can go to them.
They're a non-profit organization.
Yeah, non-profit.
As much money as they want from the political.
So you got these super PACs going on out there, and they're donating money, and by signing that, you're saying that all these candidates can go to the primary, and then whoever's favored by the big PACs is going to get all the money. So you wouldn't sign that, would you? No. Okay, you're authorizing that. We really got to wordsmith this one. You're authorizing 3 or more candidates on the primary ballot, allowing a candidate to win with only 20% of the total votes, meaning 80% of the voters didn't want that candidate, they still got elected. Now, 20% is a random number. That's somebody. It could be 25, it could be 17, it could be 35. Let's say it's 40. Let's say somebody got 40% of the vote. What that means is 60% of the public didn't want them.
Right.
And I can't feel good about somebody being elected and being our representative when the majority of the people didn't vote for them. That does not feel any way, shape, or form to me to be representative.
Right.
We are a representative republic. We're not a democracy.
You always use that word all the time.
They always use that word. Now, do we have a democratic process in our elections? Yes. But are we a democracy or are we a representative republic?
Second.
The real term is a constitutional representative republic. Okay? And representative means we get to vote, and whoever has the most votes becomes our rep. Well, under that other system, that's not how it works. It's a pure primary now. And as soon as you take the number to win from 50% to 40, 30, or 20, the smaller that number gets to be the victor, the more money plays a part in it. Okay? So you're going to have these talking points, better wordsmithed, and you'll all memorize it, right? Or at least you'll have it on your phone where you can pull it out and say, would you sign this and this and this? No. Don't sign those things. And the game plan is through the public. The game plan is through the public's awareness. Make it so hard to get the signatures that it's not worth the money they're spending to get them. And if it's not worth it because they can't get the signatures, they'll stop spending the money. If they stop spending the money, there's only one other path to come through, guys. It is our neighborhood elections and conventions. So if the legislature won't do it, then as a people, let's rise up and educate everybody in our neighborhoods and then plant 3,000 signs that say that. And let's have billboards that look like that.
You know what, we ought to have pins.
Pins,
Where?
whatever.
Ask me.
I'll get to your question in a second. Imagine signs all over Washington County and yards everywhere with that, and people are going, what's this decline to sign thing? And you pull out your phone and look at these 3 things. And it's just talked about all over, and it's on the radio. And we have ads running to where when you pull up Cabela's or whatever site you go to, there's an ad there, decline to sign. See what I'm saying?
That's awesome.
Make this so prevalent that everybody's going to look at this decline to sign thing, and you're all armed with people asking you to explain it. And then we tell people these 3 problems. Don't sign. I've played that before several times when signing people have come by my house. They don't know that I was the chairman and I got all this information at me. And they come to my house to say, ask me if I'll sign. I'll say, what is this about? Well, you want your vote to count, don't you? Well, yeah, but you got to sign right here if you want your vote to count. Is that true?
No.
No. Well, tell me more about that. Well, if you don't sign right here, this candidate can't even get on the ballot. That's not fair, is it? See what I'm saying? It's not only that they're not telling the truth to get you to sign it, it's the fact that they're paying them to gather the signatures. We had 11 people go to jail for forging signatures. Because that promotes it. If they're getting paid to gather more signatures and they get paid more and more signatures, it promotes fraud. And that's not representative either, right? So we have to do this. Let me go back a couple of slides right here, right there. This is our website, okay? Get familiar with it. Go to it, surf through it, see what's there. We're going to be updating it on a regular basis, okay? Now, I went through that faster than I did before because I wanted to get to a couple other things.
Where's the
Can I make
schedule?
a point real quick?
Yes, you had a question.
More of a statement.
Yeah.
So, if you put in decline to sign Utah, you come up with the Americans for Prosperity's initiative to try to stop the
union bill, yeah.
It's just something we need to differentiate. I feel like it's a great statement, but it's going to be very confusing.
So
Yeah, so-
we're working with them. They're gonna hand that over to us. Basically, they don't need that anymore. But that's a great
Yeah, they
point.
don't
Yeah.
need it anymore, and we've got communication going on. We may rebrand it to something Washington County.
Decline to sign is awesome. I don't think you need to make it any more complex. My only point is I think you should have like a link whenever you're making a billboard or.
Yeah.
I'm gonna-
website.
I'm taking
Do we
notes.
have that
now.
written down?
Yeah. I'll
Because
take all your
every time somebody
suggestions.
says something like that, either right now or after the meeting's over, everybody's got ideas. I'm saying, we please email me that. There's not a chance in the world I'm gonna remember all this stuff, but I want to.
Yeah.
And we want to have this information, so please email that. She's writing it down, but please email that to us. So we've got that on our list to include it, okay?
Like a QR code on this map, what we're giving us to do, or
That's been
Yeah.
suggested
the
too.
one we're talking to, you can get it right there.
Yeah, on your sign in your yard, there's a QR code. On the pamphlet, there's a QR code that has the 3 things. All of this,
Or
can
you
you
can
imagine?
direct to the website.
When you put that QR code in your front side, you usually swap that out.
So this specific training was designed to introduce you to strengthening the caucus system in neighborhood elections. Give me a pass on that.
Yeah.
Strengthening that system where a bigger percentage. Guys, if we attack the other 75 to 80% of people that don't have a clue what's going on, we're not going to get 75 to 80% of the people to join. We don't have to. If we increase those numbers by 5 to 90%, it blows it up. It makes our neighborhood elections giant.
What does?
Just engaging the other 80% of the population that doesn't even know we exist as a party.
By doing.
Okay, that's the next training. I'm gonna dig into what the next training will be. Yes, sir.
What is our average turn attendance for a neighborhood meeting?
Man, it goes from 30 to 150. Depends on what's happening within that.
We had the highest in the state, and we had about 10% of the voters out of all the counties. Like out of the counties, we were the highest, about
And
10%.
what is the target that we're shooting for attendance?
To be honest, I don't know. I'm just gonna engage all of the people and see what happens there, because nobody's done this. Nobody's gone out on a massive basis and tried to engage the other 80%. What they do is, and I've been frustrated with this for years, is that county's chairs, they keep trying to increase caucus attendance by engaging with the people that have already been coming to caucuses the last 500 years. And that's a small pool of people. If you just take your neighborhood and say, well, we've had these 44 people on average come to our caucus meetings, neighborhood election, we're gonna go out and talk to everybody else. And if we talk to everybody else, and we increase that by 5% of everybody else, you know how big that means? Okay.
Is, this the only county, or you the only county that is attending this, or?
Yes, I was asked to do this by Rob Axon and Phil Lyman on a statewide basis. And then we got discussing it and realized there may be too much pushback and it may be too difficult on that larger basis. So they encouraged me to just come down and run it in the most conservative county in the state. Make it happen here, create the system, and then we'll take it to the other 28 counties once we prove it can be done.
And we will, and it's gonna be great.
It's gonna be fantastic. And we're gonna have a big part.
Yes.
Okay? So I'm not naive enough to think that we're going to engage the other 80% and they're all gonna get involved. But we don't have to. Okay? I understand the concept, and this is a leadership concept I want you to understand. As it applies to finding people within your, or bringing people into your organization that will be what I just call superstars. You know, people that learn about it, that never heard about it before, and they just get so excited about it, they engage, and they make a difference in your precinct because now they're involved and they weren't before. How do you find those people? Do you handpick them, or do you just find them through the masses? Through the masses.
But how do you do that?
Get out within your neighborhoods and engage all of the neighborhood election attendees. I'm working on this, okay? Everybody that's come to those before, and engage with them, and you introduce this to them. And say, we're doing this different. You won't believe what the next meeting is gonna be like. It won't be anything like what it was before.
But is that one by one? And I can't see myself going one by one.
So there's a couple options, I would say, like, we're working on getting more data, so more, because you guys only have the list of who has attended, so we're trying to get more of the voter information to you, which will help, but like he mentioned, we'll do short little video clips, so you can text it to people, you can do door hangers, just whatever works for your specific neighborhood, but you can kind of get creative with different ways to reach new
Right,
people.
and in connection with that, I've offered that I'll spend the next year and a half traveling the county, every corner of every city, and having the precinct chairs and vice chairs of a certain part of Hurricane or Santa Clara all come together and schedule a big public meeting, get the decline to sign going, all the text messages, emails, all that stuff, get the caucus attendees or to tell everybody in their neighborhoods instead of you doing it. You engage the infrastructure and get them excited and get them talking to people. And then we have 4 or 5 or 6 precincts together, and I have a meeting about this. And I introduce them on a mass basis. And we get them to buy all these signs and put them in their yards, okay? It's just the awareness of what's going on and arming a whole bunch of people with the talking points of why this is destroying. Because the reality is, and I'm not going to predict this, but almost, if we don't change this in the next 5 or so years, I think the legislature is going to change it to a pure primary.
Sure, absolutely. But Willie, what I'm trying to do here, in these questions that I'm asking, is to get action items that I can do to do what you want to do.
Okay.
And I'm out of ideas about that, so we either have a,
And that will be the next
okay.
round of training, but in answer to your question, engage the caucus attendees,
Okay.
give them the information and the talking points,
How?
email it to them,
You know,
text it to them,
okay.
both, text and email, and then pick out certain people in there, and then say, we need you to reach out and get this information to everybody in the neighborhood. So each caucus attendee is now engaging everybody in their neighborhood, and there's going to be overlap, and that overlap is wonderful. If you get somebody that got 3 phone calls from people that came and said, you got to come to this neighborhood meeting or this decline sign, and they're learning about it. You just keep pumping that information out to your neighborhoods. And then we have a big public meeting, and I engage everybody that came. And then what we do is we take that group, and we say, well, here's the information. We need you to spread this throughout your neighborhoods. And we just have mass meetings all over the place, along with social media engagement, the texting by everybody, all of that. It's a big effort. When I took this on, I knew this would be a huge deal. I had people, yes,
So are we gonna get an updated list of
names.
names for
Yes.
this caucus?
In fact, we have a bunch already, and we're working on more. There's no way for us to get every single person, but we're gonna get the majority of people, and you're gonna get their names, cell numbers, and email addresses.
We're talking about the chair and vice chair.
Yes. And
That's all.
then you, well, chairs.
No, he's saying get it to the
That's where we
chairs
get
and
the
vice chairs.
information, the chairs and vice chairs. We'll get the names, the numbers, and email addresses to the chair and vice chair.
Great.
And then you use that information and engage he wants to caucus, and engage those people and for lack of a better, do a masterful sales job on this, because this is worth our efforts. There's emotion here. There's true things going on here. There's a history here, and there's no question about how the SB 54 law is destroying our system. And it's gonna go away, our system's gonna go away if we don't make a move.
And they don't even know what that is.
They don't, but, so, you guys, it's your job to get highly emotionalized. You wanna get people to engage, then they have to be emotional. They've gotta be emotional about it. And the only way you get emotional about it, get them emotional about it, is that you get emotional about it. Now, I'm not saying, sit and cry in front of them, but I'm just saying, you can tell I'm excited about this, can't you? Yes or no? Okay, get excited about it. I'm pretty easy that way though. If I go to a movie and I loved it, man, I can get people excited about going to that movie. I don't have any problem.
And there's people that call you probably, I know happens to Willie and I, like every election, who should we vote for? Because they know that you do the research
Yeah.
and you know, and so that's your opportunity to share.
What I'm saying is hard to get the emotion across in an email without actually talking.
Yeah. You can engage people on neighborhood webinars. Have a neighborhood webinar. Just do a Zoom meeting with everybody in your neighborhood. Decline to sign. You gotta know what this decline thing is. Huge. It's gonna change everything. Yes, sir.
You have to have their email.
Yeah.
Yeah, but quite frankly, if you reach out to the neighborhood election attendees and say, who do you know, they'll have their name and phone, their name, phone number, email. A lot of them, because they're neighbors. They'll have that information. We're gonna arm you with everything else that we can possibly can, yes.
No, but it's
Okay, okay. See, what we gotta do in the next training, go ahead.
I was thinking, wouldn't it be nice to have a concise video clip like that you make that says, decline to sign, that here's what you're talking about, it's not this long thing, but
Yeah.
short, that we can like text our friends or text the people that came to practice last night.
What a
And then say,
wonderful,
please share with everyone.
Yes, that's
What a
it.
won-
That would be the easiest, and mine's
That's it.
That's it.
what a wonderful idea, Tony.
So, yes, so I
Coming
got.
soon.
He's gonna work on it.
Yeah, that's
We
it.
should feature you in the
That's what's
video
gonna
though.
If he wasn't here, I wouldn't have done it. But I've been talking to him about making these 30-second, 45-second videos. They're just boom, 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 that you have on your phone, and you can just text to a group of 15 people or 25 people, and then text it to another 15 or 20. You just get the-
Spread word.
Yes.
Absolutely, yeah, that's-
Yeah, we've been discussing it, haven't we, Tony? I just need to make time to get with you, let's make those things.
Okay, that's on you.
It is, it is. I've been so focused on having these type of settings and getting people to understand the direction we're going. Now that you understand this direction, can you get behind this?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. I mean, okay, see, it's okay to respond, we don't shoot you, okay? It's okay to get excited about things that's worthy of you and your time.
Willie, we just have to be clear about what we can do.
Okay.
That's what I came here for, and I've gotten a lot of
Good.
information. But that's the key, clarity. Otherwise, you don't have anything.
Think precinct attendees, caucus and neighborhood attendees, think that, and how many that was, what ours was 120. And if you engage all of those people through a texting and email campaign and give them these little videos and just sell them on the fact that it's a new day. We're done with this stuff. This boring caucus meetings are over. Now it's neighborhood elections. You won't even believe how different it is. Because what we're going to do is we're going to create an environment where every time we have a neighborhood election, they're going to walk in, they're going to be better registered when people get in quickly. There's going to be patriotic music playing loud. So we have Mozone. You guys know what Mozone is?
No.
Momentum zone. It's where people walk in and they're enthused and excited before their butts ever hit the seats.
Cool.
Okay? You have Toby Keith playing what he plays and Lee Greenwood playing. And there's a whole playlist of and you play that loud. I had people say, no, it's not. Yes, we are. Okay?
And balloons, we gotta have balloons.
But we have to have an environment where they're excited, and then we play. We have welcoming people that are welcoming. Thanks for coming. They feel appreciated, and then they sit down. We start this process where we, instead of reading the platform for how long?
Right.
Okay, we're gonna hand them out at the desk. They read the stuff. We'll have a 3-minute question and answer. Boom, done. And then we're gonna play a video that says, if you're going to be a precinct chairman, vice chair, secretary, or extended county delegate, here's your responsibilities, and here's why you should do it, here's why you don't sign up to be one and ask for an election if you've already got a candidate in mind. Don't do it. Okay? We're going to have chocolate shakes, and you're going to be left out if you do. Okay, because we can't shoot people, right? And it's out of compliance to carry a bat, right? So we have to do something else. But we've got to make it clear why you're here and what your job is. And then we're going to hold these elections at that, and we're going to get those done. And as soon as we're done with the elections, everything's done. The loud music goes back on. We give everybody high fives, and we're done. Yes, sir.
Would it be appropriate to ask each delegate to swear that they aren't stacking,
Yeah.
And it has to swear that I am not here already pre-picked.
So let's say you stand up, and you get nominated by your wife, right?
Sure.
Okay. And you approve of that, and you stand up to give your speech why you want to be a county or state delegate, and somebody like him says, I want you to swear that you're not here and running for this position just because you already have somebody. I want you to declare that right here, right now. In fact, that could be just a standard question across the board.
You swear them in anyway, so we can include that in the language.
Yeah.
Excellent.
And don't run for it. Don't run for it if you're going to do that.
Right.
Okay, let's make this a representative.
Stacking is having a preconceived,
Yeah, you come
candidates
before
tonight already,
Yeah.
that you're going with no matter what.
You're
Yeah.
agreeing that you'll interview all the candidates.
Yes, you showed up to be elected because you already have this person you're going to vote for. That is not, you're being elected by people to vet those people and find out which one is the best one for this group that elected you, not your own personal opinion right now. How can you possibly say I'm going to vote for this person when you don't even know who else is running? And you haven't asked him any questions whatsoever. Yes.
At that meeting, when you get elected, you've got to, like, I got elected, but then I didn't have a way to communicate with everybody. And so I would like to have, give my email and have them approach me rather than me trying to grab everybody.
Right, and once you've done the vetting, what did you?
Well, no, but they
I
always
did
have to
that.
have my
Didn't
email.
get any emails, no
Okay.
phone calls.
So what if you vet all the candidates and you got the list and you create one email and you send it out in a block email to everybody? You're engaging them one time and saying, this is what I found, this is the candidates, these are the preferred candidates I think we should, and then if you have anything you want to talk to me about, please give me a call.
I think too, if you just send something out once, the likelihood of you getting any response back.
Yeah.
But as you find things out, or you learn something about a candidate or their view on a certain thing, or there's no point of view, you can send out a poll like to the candidates, hey, what's your position on this? And then send that out to those people. It's the spark that starts the fire.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Well, screening is really a big thing, I think, because my past experience, for several years, but when you're screening, vetting, in other words, you're screening that I have an honest heart, they got a secret agenda, and they have the talent.
Speak into this, would you?
It's like, we're actually screening, you're vetting them, and we're saying, is their heart right? You know, they got a hidden agenda, they're looking for, promotion for their product or something. And secondly, do they have the skills, or can they learn the skills for that office? And then third, are they electable? Because sometimes they're great people, just not electable, and so you don't weigh those kinds of things out. The screening is a big part of that, and it's not hard to do if you get the idea right.
That's correct. You can have somebody whose heart's in the right place, and they'll do the work, but there's no way they're gonna get elected in that meeting. So you have to consider that. I'm not a big fan of people just running to run. If you're gonna run, then you have to be electable. When you run 3 or 4 times and you don't get hardly any votes, don't blame everybody else, you guys. Start pointing fingers back. Say, what about me is not electable, and how do I fix that?
Well, I thought that got broke in, because nobody else would run, nobody else would step up.
That's the main problem.
Honestly, I stepped in because I knew I was.
Nobody wants to do it. They want you to do it.
Yeah.
So-
Whoever shows any interest, oh, I nominate, and then boom, every hand, yeah, I'm seconding.
Yeah,
Because they're saying, oh, some people to do it, I don't have to.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
Why
and
is that a problem? Like, why is that a problem?
what's that?
Why is that a problem?
Well, because a lot of people aren't wanting to do the job.
Yeah, I kinda like that. I kinda like if they're gonna be lazy, just go ahead and stay watching football.
Correct.
Don't need to watch football.
Hang on, guys, Tony got a
Yeah, I
comment.
was just gonna say, if more enthusiasm for the whole system can be built, which is good, that's what this decline to sign is gonna create. More enthusiasm, is more people there, more quality people willing to step up and do that. It kind of fixes itself.
More engagements, because if you've got 50 people coming to your neighborhood election normally, and we get 5% more of your precinct, 5% more of 1,000 people, what? If I was 5% of 1,000 people, that's 50 more people. If all we get is 5, there's 30.
Well, my last caucus meeting, or neighborhood election, whatever. So, the part of the problem for us was we didn't know what it entailed. Nobody wanted to do it because nobody could answer their questions. Right. So, meaning who I was and knowing what I know, I stepped up and said, I'll do it, whatever. But,
Better training on the expectations
Yeah.
of what that.
Well,
like,
and let-
kind of like a job description type of deal.
and let me get a little bit more into that to help you. And this is for the next training, but let me just plant this in your
And
mind.
a lot of, can I say one more thing?
Sure, go ahead.
And a lot of delegates didn't understand that it's a 2-year term. So we really had a hard time confirming delegates for the county convention and the state convention for this year, the organizing convention. Because everybody wanted to go and do the vote for the election candidates, but nobody wanted to do the organizing convention. So an explanation of that, would be good as well, so they understand, like, it's not just for one time.
And that'll be on that video. So we're gonna,
What the-
talk about the video we're gonna have, we're gonna play at the beginning, it'll explain all of that.
I haven't seen the video.
No, there isn't one.
Oh,
Okay,
okay.
there'll be a video that every
I thought you were
precinct,
asking if I
a
watched
video
it.
that every precinct has, that you get to a certain point and you'll push the button and play, and they'll explain every position, what your responsibility is, what the term is, what meetings you have to go to, and then why you should run for this and why you shouldn't. Okay? So there'll be, that's all in process right now.
You mentioned maybe some compensation for people who couldn't afford to go to the state.
I think you know what's weird, I think it'd be a great idea if at the precinct meeting, that we make a motion that we raise money right there in that group to help people pay for their expense to go to the state. Now, the county one's right here.
Yeah.
But the state one, there's a cost, a ton.
It's a lot, too.
You travel all the way up there, usually
It's
have,
always
because it's
so
such a long deal, you probably have an overnight stay, there's gas expenses. And if we're gonna, let's say we're having a precinct meeting, and we select these 4 people here, what we're saying is we want you to go do all this work for the next 2 months. And then travel that convention and bear your own expense.
Right.
What if we're electing you and we're willing to say, hey, everybody kick in $25 each or something, and we'll help pay for your trip up there, your hotel expense, that kind of stuff. Yeah, that's fair, isn't it?
I think it is.
Yeah, what do you guys feel?
Can you put that in a video?
They sent it around, and we were last time,
What's that?
we sent something around to collect donations, and isn't that?
Yeah,
Well,
but
That didn't go to the
Yeah.
that went to the state Republican
The county
Party,
party.
and then they, in turn, once they get their coffers, because of state, federal finance, election finance, they have to do it and they send it back to us. But if we say that this money isn't for that,
This is off the books.
Delegate, this is the
this is for
delegate.
these 4 people that are committing their time. And are you willing to fork up some money and say, okay, we've got 4 people who want to say convention. If we could raise, $500-$600 tonight out of 100 people or whatever, that's not much money. Yes, we're here and then, yeah.
In my experience, maybe my thing is if someone can't afford to do a safety to begin with, and then need other people to support them there, they're not as committed to someone who has prepared himself for the process. Like, just plain and simple. In my opinion, if you haven't put your life in order to be able to go to Salt Lake for a couple nights, is that really the type of person we want our person that's safe?
Well, I don't know, maybe it is. Maybe they've got their heart, their mind, everything in the right place. They just economically, they're not there. But even if they are economically able to do it, even if it's not that big a hardship, I feel like if I'm gonna ask Tony to do all that work and then go up there, I'm willing to kick in $25 or $30 to help him bear that expense. Because he's taken a lot of time for a month and a half or 2 months to vet the candidates, then he's gonna go travel. I'm willing to say, Tony, I'm willing to support you.
There's a lot more than a month and a half or 2 months.
Yeah, because let me say this, Shavine Butler made an offer in Hurricane. Said anybody that needs to go to the convention but economically they can't go, let me know, I will pay for your hotel and your gas expenses. And there were 1 or 2 people that took it up on, and they went. Yes.
I think that's how much fun it is. How many better? It's a lot of fun. You meet people and you can ask questions and you get people. I like to ask a hard question. So are you gonna vote for this? You know, why do you really want to do this? It's a lot of fun.
Well, it is, it's your attitude going into it, if you're, I guess, it's time, but if you're going up there to engage and learn and ask tough questions. Because when you show up to that convention, the first hour or hour and a half is just going around from booth to booth, candidate to candidate, and listen to them talk and raise your hand and say, so tell me what you think about this. And when you ask that question, there's 75 people standing around listening to them on that thing. And then somebody else asks a question, and you get to hear all those questions and really learn more about these people.
What about those people who become delegates, you don't know what questions to ask? How do you help them? Honestly, I was new in the area.
I'll give it to you.
New to everything, and I went in kind of blind, not really knowing those questions.
Once they're
Are you better-
elected
are
to
you
be
better informed now?
delegates, we
I
can do a
am,
training.
but it would have been helpful.
Yeah,
Actually, they're always a good question.
that's a good point. Maybe we should,
We can do a training with the delegates once
That
they're
would be
elected.
very
Yeah.
yeah.
Yes.
We can do even a webinar. We said, here's the hot questions right now.
Yes.
Here's the hot question. We can do a webinar on that. Just tell all your delegates that are gonna go, let's jump on for 30 minutes. We're gonna give you a list of the hot questions.
Absolutely. Thank you.
That would be good. Wait a minute, for you, David first.
You're saying month and a half, 2 months. Being a delegate's year round.
Well, it is, yeah.
Yeah, because like what she's saying, she's coming in, she doesn't know what she's gonna ask, people don't know what. That's because you're not going in and talking to your commission. You're not going in and talking to the other people that are in the water conservancy district. You have to be prepared as a delegate. You have to know the issues. You have to know what's going on in your community. So that when you go to talk to a candidate, you have the questions to ask them. And you know that you can ask the hard question. Say, what are you gonna do about our water problems? What are you gonna do about our problems that are going on down here in Washington County? So what I ran into is they all wanna give you this quick answer and then push you away. And you can't allow that. You have to be willing to get in there and say, that's not the answer.
So that's why the personal vetting before you get there is important.
Right.
Because if you call them on the phone and say, hey, Ms. Willie, I got a couple of questions for you, and hammer them with those questions.
You need to be willing to be dedicated for the full 2 years that you're in. You can't sit there and be a keyboard warrior and think that you can just do everything through the keyboards. You have to go out, you have to get in touch with the people that are in your area, in your precinct, talk to them, get to know them, and say, hey, listen, this is This is important.
You know what he just said is important right there. And it kind of answers your question, or you guys' question is, what questions do I ask? Well, send an email out to all the neighborhood or something like that to say, here are the candidates. Here's some of the key questions. What's your concern? What questions do you have? And the more you engage with them, right? The more you're asking them and getting their opinion, and the more they start, the more involvement you're going to get.
I kind of did the same thing. I told my delegates, because they didn't know what they were doing either. I just said, pay attention to the news. Like, make your list of pros and cons. And then you'll form questions. Talk to your neighbors. Most of us, are registered Republicans at my age.
You know,
And make your pros and cons. And we have a little Facebook group. And people ask questions. People, what's the word? Converse over different issues and stuff like that. So our delegates are prepared to know, sort of.
well, you guys, there is a lot of people that are not coming and not involved simply because nobody's asking. Nobody's asking.
How many times have you turned down an invite to do lunch?
Say that?
How many times have you turned down an invite to do lunch? 3. Almost 0, right?
Almost.
Very rare. You invite Canada out to lunch, they will say more stupid things than that. Because they can't help.
Are you insinuating that I said stupid things?
No, not that you don't think. But if you take them out to lunch, they expect to spend about an hour with you. And they will fill that time talking because they do not like silence.
Yeah.
And they will say,
Yes.
a lot of things that you wouldn't even think that.
Legislators don't like silence.
They don't.
Yes, okay, we're gonna have to end this pretty
Is there
quick.
any more instruction, you're just kind of discussing?
We're just discussing right now, I'm just adding
I
this.
laid down, I know.
Yeah, it's $25 if you leave early. No, just kidding.
Just building.
No, okay. Thank you for your time, I appreciate it. I can hang around with any other questions, but we're done with the formal, training.
We'll
But
send
don't
you the
think-
presentation.
Don't think that the next training that you come to is gonna be this. It's gonna be neighborhood elections 101. What are we gonna do different? How is it gonna run? What support are you gonna have? All those types of things.
This is awesome, Will, and your vision is happening, you're making this happen.
I appreciate it. I get excited about something I'm passionate about.
It's gonna happen, that's what I'm trying to tell you.
We're gonna make this work.
What is the next one?
We don't have it yet. We'll get an email out from the party secretary on when they are. We've had 3 of them in the last 3 weeks or 3.5 weeks or something.